Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where I talk to you about the health impacts of global warming. If you are interested in the content, feel free to ask me questions, comment on my videos and subscribe. In the previous video, I explained to you how biodiversity and human health are linked, and how policies and activities in these domains can have positive or negative effects on both. In this video, I'm going to dive deeper into the different types of interactions between biodiversity and health, and how they are influenced by various drivers of change. There are three main types of interactions between biodiversity and health. The first one is when biodiversity gives rise to health benefits. For example, the variety of species and genotypes provide nutrients and medicines. Biodiversity also underpins ecosystem functioning, which provides services such as water and air purification, pest and disease control and pollination. However, it can also be a source of pathogens leading to negative health outcomes. The second type of interaction is when drivers of change affect both biodiversity and health in parallel. For example, air and water pollution can lead to biodiversity loss and have direct impacts on health. Climate change is another driver that affects both biodiversity and health, as it alters the distribution and abundance of species, the functioning of ecosystems, and the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. The third type of interaction is when health sector interventions have impacts on biodiversity and vice versa. For example, the use of pharmaceuticals may lead to the release of active ingredients in the environment and damage species and ecosystems, which in turn may have negative knock-on effects on human health. Protected areas or hunting bans could deny access of local communities to bush meat and other wild sources of food and medicines with negative impacts on health. Positive interactions of this type are also possible. For example, the establishment of protected areas may protect water supplies with positive health benefits. These interactions are influenced by various indirect drivers of change, such as demographic change, social and economic processes, poverty, gender, urbanization, macroeconomic policies and structures, and public policies. These drivers affect both biodiversity and health directly or indirectly, and often create or exacerbate inequalities among different groups of people. For example, human population health is determined, to a large extent, by social, economic and environmental factors. Social determinants of health include poverty, gender, sex, age, and rural versus urban areas. Vulnerable people, such as women and the poor, who tend to be more reliant on biodiversity and ecosystem services, suffer disproportionately from biodiversity loss and have less access to social protection mechanisms. For example, access to healthcare. A social justice perspective is needed to address the various dimensions of equity in the biodiversity and health dynamic. Vulnerability and adaptation assessments are needed and should be tailored to the contexts of these populations. Another example is that women and men have different roles in the conservation and use of biodiversity and varying health impacts. Access to, use, and management of biodiversity has differential gender health impacts shaped by respective cultural values and norms, which in turn determine roles, responsibilities, obligations, benefits and rights. Institutional capacity and legal frameworks often inadequately reflect differential gender roles. There is also a lack of gender disaggregated data on biodiversity access, use and control, and on the differential health impacts of biodiversity change. So, as you can see, biodiversity and health are closely intertwined, and we need to take a holistic and integrated approach to address the challenges and opportunities that they present. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new and interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos on the health impacts of global warming. See you next time.